Milkweeds for Monarchs, the St. Louis Butterfly Project, next on City Corner. Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson and welcome to City Corner. Today we're going to be talking about a project that the City of St. Louis, the Mayor's Office, has kicked off, and it has to do with monarch butterflies. There's a startling statistic out there that the monarch butterfly population has depleted as much as 97%, and that's a problem because butterflies are pollinators, and then it affects the food chain and much, much more. We're going to learn all about this, what you can do to help save this population, and really what the city is actually doing. So joining me today is Catherine Werner. She's the Sustainability Director, the City of St. Louis Mayor's Office, and thank you for being here.
Thanks for inviting me, Sarah.
So it's not every day we get to sit down and talk about ecology and nature, but in this case, something really that has to do with broader environmental issues, and in specifically the monarch butterfly population and how it's declining so rapidly. So tell me a bit about this project, and we can kind of walk through the stages later on, but what exactly is Milkweeds for Monarchs?
Well, Sarah, you've hit on a really important, probably half of the important part of why we're doing this for the monarchs and their habitat, but it's really also about people. Mm-hmm. That's the other really big component of this project, and why a city government is taking steps instead of a monarch or a butterfly organization. So this is an effort to try and create more habitat for butterflies. Monarch butterflies are dependent on a specific kind of plant called a milkweed plant. And if they don't have that plant, they have no place to lay their eggs. That's the only place a female monarch will lay her eggs, on a milkweed species. And that's where the caterpillar larvae, when they emerge, that's what they need to eat. And so if you don't have a milkweed plant, you're not going to be able to support a monarch population. One of the things that we're trying to do is encourage the planting of these monarch gardens throughout the city, so that not just more butterflies will come, but that more people can experience the butterflies. And so it's not just planting them in our parks, which we plan to do, but we want to encourage people to plant them in their yards, where they frequent, in their businesses, in their neighborhood community spaces, so that they can experience the splendor of the butterflies almost on a daily basis if they're lucky.
Right, and I think what's interesting is this is part of a broader sustainability initiatives, because I know it might seem like you're sitting at your desk like, the monarch butterfly population is declining. But this is one of many, many things, and even here right in front of us on on the desk right here, you have a lot of, this is a big sustainability plan. So tell me briefly about that.
Yes, absolutely. One of the ways that we look at sustainability in the city of St. Louis is about the environment, but equally as important is about society, social issues, and also about economic issues. And we call these three things in balance triple bottom line. Right. So everything that we do in the city for sustainability is looking at social, economic, and environmental issues and trying to integrate them to the best extent possible. So we developed over 3 years this
hefty
sustainability plan. It's very comprehensive with community participation, and thousands of people gave their input. What would it mean to have a more sustainable city of St. Louis? And they came up with all of these suggestions and recommendations, building on our strengths and looking for opportunities and partners and resources that we could leverage, and came up with 260 pages worth of really good ideas that are in the sustainability plan. And so that's tremendous.
Right.
Mayor Slay decided we needed a little bit more strategic emphasis and focus. So what of those 317 specific strategies are we going to do first? And so he developed an action agenda, a sustainability action agenda of a short list, 29 items that will be done, committing the city to move forward on these things and complete them by 2018. And two of them, and they cross the spectrum, everything from arts to education to health to infrastructure issues like cycling and recycling, and also ecology. But a lot of it, again, it's interwoven. It's social, economic, and environmental. And so two of them in particular really touch on this idea of how can we get something that's tangible that people can get their head around. One of the priorities is to foster a connection between people and nature. Well, gosh, what does that really mean? And what does it look like? And we know there are some real important reasons why we'd try and encourage that connection. And again, those reasons are not just for the ecological aspects, but for the people. Things like we know that when you have access to nature, your stress goes down. It reduces anxiety in children. The ADHD cases goes down. They've actually wired sensors when people walk through a park, and they go from a busy downtown area and they go through a park, and their neurological functions are de-stressed. And it also enhances creativity, imagination. Of course, there are also, clean air, clean water benefits. So there are all kinds of reasons why you would want to have more green space and have people connected to those green spaces in an urban environment. So again, we know these things, but what can we do about it? And what can we do about it quickly and easily? And so the Milkweeds for Monarchs initiative is a way to make something happen. Really, you can transform an area in an hour.
Right.
With 9 plants and a shovel or a spade, and something that's very affordable.
Sure.
You could even grow it from seed, but under $50 and 45 minutes worth of work, and you've got yourself a butterfly garden.
Well, I thought what we could do is walk through, because when we talk about this, people, I remember growing up and feeling like monarch butterflies were everywhere, and now you hardly see them as much, but just to walk through, take us back to like science class 101, but sort of the stages of it. So we have some photos that we're gonna look at, and the first we've got are the milkweed plants themselves. I know this is the seed, and just thought maybe if you could just walk us through, I know this is gonna feel like you're teaching a science class, but just, from the seed, the plant, and then we'll get into with the butterfly, so.
Well, right, as you can see, the milkweed seed has the white fluffy part, and that helps the air, the wind disperse it. And so it actually, you can plant a seed, or you can rely on the wind to help get it around. So it actually depends on when you're gonna have more success planting a seed and having a plant grow at certain times of year than others. And especially if you're relying on nature to do its thing, or if you're gonna be deliberate about it. So if you're planting from seeds, you actually want to plant in the wintertime. January or February is the best time to plant from a seed.
Got it, okay.
And kind of scruff up the seed a little bit and get it in the soil. Obviously, if you're planting from seed, you also want to make sure that you're there to tend to it. And when it comes up, it gets the water, the light, it doesn't, if there's some milkweeds growing. And,
these are just to give people a visual, because when you say milkweeds, people who do a lot of landscaping will say, oh, milkweeds, because they know them and think of them obviously as a weed, but sometimes people don't have that association in their mind. And even you have a form here that has different photos of the milkweed species. But yeah, I just wanted to throw this in with photos. This is, again, another leaf. And the leaves are important because you're saying that's where the eggs are planted,
It's
correct?
the only, yes. Now, there are more than a dozen milkweed species. There's a little egg right there. That are native to the St. Louis area. So there are a lot of different kinds. And, but without the milkweed, the monarch has no place to lay her eggs, the female monarch. So what we've actually done, the city, we pulled together a group of specialists in the butterfly field and the native plant field and said, okay, there are 15 or so different milkweed types. What are the best types? What should we be going for here? So we took all of their input, and some of the things were, it's hard to get some of these milkweeds, or some are very aggressive, or some prefer shade to light to certain conditions. So we went through this whole process, and we determined that there were a few types of milkweeds that were best suited
to St. Louis.
For St. Louis and for an urban environment. And so these are recommended. We actually have, half of these are milkweed species and half are nectar species because it's great to lay an egg, and it's great to have the caterpillar emerge, and now you've got your butterfly. But one of the most fascinating things about the monarch. The monarch is the only butterfly that actually migrates between
Yes, yes,
Canada
yes.
through the United States and Mexico and back over several generations of butterflies. Well, in the fall, as they're making their migration south to Mexico, that last generation, they need a lot of extra energy. And so they need the nectar sources to fuel them for their journey south. And so it's equally important to have nectar sources as it is milkweed, but without milkweed, you're not going to, the nectar will serve a lot of different species, milkweed a lot as well, but specifically is needed for monarchs.
Right, no, and we've got some photos just to go through that where from the egg stage, it goes from the egg stage to
there you've got your monarch caterpillar.
who's
And
then feeding off the milkweed, the leaves.
yes.
And then
And then they will build their chrysalis. Okay, so we've
but after that, there
we've
we
got
go.
our chrysalis. And oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I
And
don't
then turn into
actually,
the
I don't know
beautiful-
how long it takes, but then they will emerge, and there you've got your milkweed on, I'm sorry, your monarch on, that's a butterfly milkweed. And unfortunately, these milkweeds have been given the common name weeds.
Weeds,
And
yes.
they're really not weedy at all. Some are more aggressive. A common milkweed, that one right there is a common milkweed. That will grow easier and be probably more robust than some of the other kinds. So if you have a teeny tiny space, maybe you don't want to plant that one in particular. But they are all native to, well, we have a list of the native ones to this area.
So what is endangering actually the plant? I mean, is it broader climate change? Is it specifically pesticides and herbicides? I mean, because to have 97% loss of population, I mean, that's huge. So what are some of the factors that are leading to the depletion of this population, and I guess more specifically, the milkweed?
Yeah, and those are the reasons. It's primarily loss of habitat. Now, what causes that loss? A lot of different things, choices that we've made, where we're going to do development, where we're going to do agriculture. Yes, whether we're applying chemicals. If you apply chemicals nearer on the milkweeds, they're not going to flourish. And there are some suspicions that climate change is adding to the problem as well. So it's all of these different factors in combination. But what we know is the one thing that we can do to help them is to create more habitat. And so that's what we're trying to do. It's one of the really fascinating things that I think about the milkweed plant itself is that it has a toxin in it. And so when that caterpillar eats the milkweed to become strong and turn into create his chrysalis, he's actually ingesting toxins into the caterpillar body that actually remains when it becomes a butterfly.
Yes, and
so
that's
when
why-
the butterfly emerges, it has the brightly colored orange wings, but what that signifies to predators like birds is toxic.
Right.
So that helps them stave off the birds coming in, plucking them off, because a bird doesn't want to eat a butterfly that has toxins that's going to be harmful. And in fact, there are some other butterflies, one called the viceroy, that looks like that bright orange color. It mimics that because the monarch
Because
is
of
so
that. So
successful with
interesting.
that toxin that the other butterfly wants to benefit and scare off the predators as well.
I will say the other day I was at a park with my son and I did see a monarch butterfly flying around, and it made me think of the gardens that you had talked about that are part of this initiative. So I want to go ahead and take a look at some photos that you have. We'll start off with one. It's of Mayor Slay, and I believe this is it a dedication of some sort at Brightside?
Mayor Slade launched the initiative on Earth Day just this year.
Okay.
And he launched it with a specific goal. This is our 250th birthday year. And so the mayor thought, we're going to make a commitment to planting 50 gardens in the city. We're going to plant 10 maybe in city parks, another 30 around fire stations, police stations, city hall.
Okay.
The mayor's house himself, the mayor has planted
great.
2 butterfly gardens. And you can see him here with some of our key partners from the Missouri Department of Conservation, the Missouri Botanical Garden, and the St. Louis Zoo. Without our partners, this project never would have gotten off the ground. But they're planting these milkweeds, butterfly weeds there at Brightside Demonstration Garden as the first to kick off this event. We're trying to reach 250. So the city's planting 50 and challenging the community to plant another 200 so that we'll reach our goal of 250.
And then I think that we have photos from one of the actual gardens. I was trying to figure out if it was one of these 50
That
gardens.
is actually not one of the butterfly gardens, but
Okay.
that is Gateway Greening's demonstration garden.
Oh, okay.
And they're another great partner, and so they're encouraging the planting of, they've got a sign there on a yardstick, because what the specialists tell us is that you need just 1 square yard or 1 square meter of these special milkweed and nectar plants. That's all it takes. And so that's an example of the types of plants, and not a very big area that you need to, that's a little bit smaller than you need, but that's
No,
an
that's
example.
actually quite
right.
manageable. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something that you can do even if you don't have
Right, very doable.
have a big yard. And I love these photos of the little kids with the butterfly wings. And you'll have to tell me where that's from, because I didn't know what event that was.
No, it's wonderful. We had it at the St. Louis Earth Day Festival in Forest Park. We had a display, and I just ordered some of these monarch wings and asked these kids if they want to be a butterfly, and of course they were all shy, and as soon as they put those butterfly wings on, they really did metamorphose into the look. And I love the little boys even, and they just wrapped themselves in and delighted in it and took flight. It's a wonderful thing. But it's not just children, of course, easy to put. It's really people of all ages and shapes, sizes, backgrounds. Who doesn't like a butterfly?
Right, and I think what's so interesting about this is and to a point you made earlier, it's kind of starting with small things that can make a big difference. And so, yeah, if it's just 1 square yard in your, in your backyard or your front yard for that matter, to do that. And do you feel that again connects with some of your broader initiatives? It's how to, connect with people in small ways, but that can, as collectively, can make a big difference?
Absolutely, and that's one of the other priorities that we're tapping into here is the city's Sustainable Neighborhood Initiative, because this is something that people can participate in individually, with their next door neighbors, with their community group, with their school, with their church, just in their neighborhood association. And so we're actually working very closely with the city's neighborhood stabilization team, and they have been sort of our ambassadors, if you will, going out into the community and telling them about this initiative, encouraging them to plant milkweed gardens. And we're actually partnering with the Bright Sides Naturescaping program, which is a grant program. Community groups can get their materials for free. If they want to put in a butterfly garden in a public space, they can apply to Brightside through this program and work with our neighborhood stabilization officers, and we will work with them to get a butterfly garden in their community.
No, that's interesting to hear, because I was going to ask you, where do you actually get milkweed seeds? But this is one where you could get a whole kit for free. But outside of that, do you just go to your neighborhood nursery?
Well, yes and no, and there are some. We actually have on our sustainability web pages a specific tab, Milkweeds for Monarchs, and it has all kinds of information, where to find plants, and it lists 3 nurseries in particular that we've been partnering with that carry the plants. You can get them for under $5, depending on what time of year and how big they are. And then there is a list, there are hot links to nurseries around the state that have special events at farmers markets or native plant sales. It's really important to get the native species because they're going to do the best, and they're going to require the least amount of chemicals, fertilizers, and herbicides, and least amount of water. They're more suited to our environment. So that's what we're encouraging people to plant.
Okay, well, we've got that information for you on your screen, and we're going to have more with Catherine Werner, the Sustainability Director from the City of St. Louis Mayor's Office, when we return, so please stay with us.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you. Body language can tell you all sorts of things. Like someone is having a stroke. Know the sudden signs. Learn fast. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty. Time to call 911 and get them to a hospital immediately. Learn the body language and spot a stroke fast.
Hi, I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. Today we're talking about Milkweeds for Monarchs, the St. Louis Butterfly Project, and I'm joined by Catherine Werner. She is the Sustainability Director for the City of St. Louis Mayor's Office. And again, thank you for being here. So we kind of covered everything, in the first half really about this project, the Monarch Gardens, the importance of planting milkweeds. You mentioned that Mayor Slay had planted 2 gardens, I think you said, in his yards. So what does he think about all of this?
Yeah, it's tremendous. He is so enthusiastic and supportive of this. And when I first asked him, what do you think about butterflies, when I was kind of bouncing off the idea, and he said, I like them. I like them a lot. In fact, let me tell you, when I was a boy, and this is before I even prompted him, it came completely from him. He said, when I was a boy of, I don't know, at 10, 11, 12, he remembered going to Lindenwood Park, and it was obviously during the butterfly migration, and he said he went out there, and there were butterflies as far as you could see. He likened it to a cloud of butterflies, and he says that he's never experienced anything quite like that again. And that I've never personally witnessed that, and to have that kind of an opportunity to be able to give that to people who live in this city, I think it's something that we're all really inspired by. And so he's been behind this 100%, and he's asked the departments to be supportive, and we've had tremendous support from our city parks department and our streets department and our planning department, and everyone's really either planting their own garden. And by the way, we have, for people who have planted a garden, and who will go online to the city's website, they can register their garden.
Oh, okay.
And we have a map of the city of St. Louis, and every time someone registers their garden, there's a butterfly icon that pops up.
I saw that, I did see that, yeah.
So it's a wonderful thing to see that all across the city, these butterfly gardens are popping up.
I did want to be sure, in the time that we have left, you mentioned some of your partners, the Missouri Botanical Garden, the St. Louis Zoo. Is there anyone else that you wanted to include that you're working with on this project? Yeah,
it's really been amazing. It's been a tremendous way to bring people together. And I'm no butterfly expert. I'm not even a plant expert. So I knew from the start we needed to rely and tap into their expertise, but also their resources. So we had the brainstorming session, and just more and more people, right from the start, people have been excited, and more people have joined, and organizations and agencies. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is helping us create big interpretive panels at our city parks. Missouri Department of Conservation, very, very supportive. Yes, the Botanical Garden, and they helped to create that mapping system.
Okay.
And Brightside and Gateway Greening, but it's just Missouri Prairie Foundation, they're helping us get plants so that we can put them in and distribute them. But everyone's doing something. And so they're the natural resource side of things, partners, and then there are also these neighborhood groups and organizations, and people have been writing articles and publicizing and helping us do help sessions and workshops. And It's just, everyone loves this idea. And in fact, when we first launched it, we had this goal of 250 in the city. And within the first couple of weeks, I got some complaints because people all across the region were making a run on the nurseries looking for these specific nectar and milkweed plants. And so some people couldn't find them because it became so popular, not just in the city, but throughout the whole region, even the whole country. People have been very interested.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember hearing a lot about it, and I think it's a great idea, and it is something that everyone outside of the city, you know, would even want to participate in. I mean, you've got a lot on, I mean, this has been a big project. I know you launched it this year, and it's, you know, it's going to take its course. What else do you have on your plate? That's kind of a, you know, I know you've got a lot, but what other initiatives, we've got a little bit of time left, did you want to share with us that's kind of on your radar or on the execution plan coming up?
Well, there are a lot, and this is just one of many, many different projects. And again, the sustainability initiatives are triple bottom line in orientation, but there are a couple of other, this whole new focus on connecting people to nature is a bit of a new direction for us. And so one of our goals in the action agenda is to double our eco-literacy rate. Gosh, what does that mean? And how do you know if you've doubled it if you don't know where you are? So this summer we did a survey of what does it mean to be connected to nature? And we had more than 500 responses. And it's very interesting. We were asking people, do you feel that you live close to nature? Is it important to you? Can you identify, do you know what a monarch butterfly needs? Do you use native species? And we were collecting all of these pieces of information. And then after we've done this initiative and some others, we'll go back and we'll measure and see, are we being effective and successful, or do we need to tweak and shift along the way? So that's been an interesting thing to really document, not just do it for the sake of doing it, but to do it and measure it toward trying to achieve a specific goal.
And to have the data. Well, maybe next year we'll have to have you come back on and talk about one of those initiatives. So thank you so much for being here and explaining this, because yes, people have been seeing and hearing all about this monarch butterflies, but not and the importance, but not sure where to connect it to. And I think you did a great job today doing that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, we've got information for you on the screen. You can go to the city's website, specifically right there, stlouis-mo.gov, sustainability, to learn more about milkweeds for monarchs. And as Catherine mentioned, you can find out where you can pick up seeds, see the mapping that they have with the butterflies on it and how many gardens are already out there. But really, it's a source for all information. And of course, we're out of time, but please keep it right here on STL TV, Experience St. Louis.